Thanks for checking out this video. This is part 2 of a 3-part series on the 3 chords that every worship piano player should know. In this video, we're looking at the suspended chord and the Add4. Hey, thanks for coming to watch this video. My name is Jared Messer from the Worship Music Academy. This is part 2 of a 3-part video series about the chords, 3 chords that every worship piano player needs to know. In the last video, if you haven't seen that, we talked about the 2 or the Add2 chord. This video is going to be similar. We're talking about the suspended or the sus chord and Add4. It's similar in the same way that the 2 Add2 is. Let me share it with you. So real quick recap of last time. We start with the basic shape of a chord, which is a triad. That's this 3-note shape, and it's built around 2 kind of intervals. And intervals is the distance between notes. We have this top and bottom note, which is a perfect fifth, and we build it on what's called the root, which is the base of the chord. So, for example, if it's a C triad, we'd have a C as the root, or if it's a G triad, we'd have a G as the root. So we can look at the C chord. So we have a C at the bottom to build a triad, a simple triad, and at the top we have a perfect fifth. Now, if you haven't studied intervals, that's okay. For right now, we're going to just tell you what it is. It's a perfect fifth, and that's this particular sound. It's the distance. If it's in a scale, it's really just 5 notes. Okay? It's not always in the scale. You might have a perfect fifth that's outside of the key of C, of course. But in this case, a perfect fifth, just this bottom and top note of a triad is a perfect fifth. And then right in the middle, we put this major third interval, which is that kind of more of a hopeful sound to me. That'd be like a minor. But a major triad is these 3 notes. It's a perfect fifth between the root and the top, and a major third in the middle. And if you want to think of it this way in a major key, you're just going to skip a note. Skip a note, there's your middle one. Skip a note, there's your top one. That's your triad. Now, these 3 chords that we're talking about, the 2 or the Add2, and today the suspended or sus chord or Add4, are all about adding or taking away, substituting notes from this basic triad. So in this case, we're going to be dealing with the 4th note. Last time we dealt with the 2nd, which is, if that's the root or 1, then that would be the 2nd interval of the chord, or the 2nd note of the chord. This would be the 3rd, it's in the middle. And this then would be the 4th. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this video, suspended or Add4. Let's first talk about the suspended chord. The suspended chord is often used at the end of what we might call at a cadence, or at the end of a section. That's like when we're coming back around. So a lot of times we hear this on the 5 chord. So if we're in the key of C, this is the sound you might hear. There's the 1, 4 chord, and then this sound. Back to 1. So this is a suspended chord. And it's called a suspended chord because we're taking that triad sound and we're kind of suspending it or hanging it in midair and letting it it's waiting to be resolved. It's just dying to be resolved, right? Suspended. And the way that's created is by taking the 3rd and moving it up 1/2 step. And this is the first part of the video here, the chords we're talking about. The suspended chord is that 3rd moved up to a 4th. Sounds like that. So it's real simple to make. Wherever you are, you're going to take the 3rd of the chord, the middle note, and you're going to move it up 1/2 step to create that suspended sound. And there's your dissonance there. Anytime we're adding to the triad, we're going to create dissonance between notes or conflict. There's your triad, and your suspended takes the 3rd and goes up 1/2 step to create the sound. And often it will resolve or come back down before we change, like this. So if it's a G, so we get that resolution. Not always. That's that nice resolved sound. So that's the first of the 2 of this video. Suspended chord. That's where we take the 3rd and we move it up 1/2 step to create this sound. Now that's most commonly used on the 1 chord and the 5 chord. And sometimes we'll hear this at the beginning of a song. The suspended will be used to kind of do the introduction. We might hear this sound. Right? That's a 1 suspended. So if I'm in the key of C, that would be a 1 suspended chord to a 1, or a 1 sus to a 1. The other place it's commonly used is on the 5, or the 5 chord, which in C we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5 chord is a G. So if we have our G triad, that suspended sound is often how we end a section like this, just like we showed before. So the two places you use a sus or suspended chord most often are on the 1 and the 5. And that resolves us back. Now the other variation of this, which is close, and by adding this in, you're going to create a really kind of rich sound you're playing. It thickens up the notes. It creates a dissonance. And a lot of contemporary worship, productions that we hear, songs, artists use this Add4 to create a really cool sound. We hear it in Hillsong a lot. Praise the Name uses this on their 5 chord each time they come around. And it sounds like this. So instead of suspending the chord, like we'll just use our G again. Instead of suspending the chord, taking the 3 and switching it to a 4, we're just going to add the 4 to the triad. So if I build my G triad, I'm going to add the 4, that 4th to it. So it sounds like this. A really kind of conflicted sound. So, this kind of thing, that really wants to resolve itself, but it is resolved. It's got a nice kind of conflict resolution mix. It's a really cool way to thicken up the end of your section. So if I was in the key of C, might be playing, and then I could play. Right? 5. And it sounds even better. Like up here, it sounds pretty good. In the thick down here, it just really sounds, it's got a great, that conflicted, it sounds like a 5, but it's got a 1 in it, because in C, that's the 1 note, right? That's the root. So we have the 5 triad, and we're going to add the 4th interval. And remember, there's the 3rd, so we're going to add the 4th. All right? That is your Add4 chord, and that is almost always used on the 5, on the 5th chord of whatever scale you're in, key you're in. So if I'm in the key of G, for example, let's say I've been playing a G Add4, but let's say I'm in the key of G. Now in the key of G, the 5 chord is a D. My scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is a D. So if I make a D triad, there's my perfect 5th, and I'm going to put the 3rd in the middle. Okay? I'm going to add the 4th, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, right there. So there's my triad. I'm going to add 4. So I get that sound. Put a little bit of bass to it to give it some context. So if I'm in the key of G, I might hear. Or, let me go to the 6. 1, 5 add 4, 6, 4, 1. All right? Awesome. I hope these help you. So the 2 chords, a sus chord, which is where we take the 3rd, look at C, take the 3rd and we switch it, we move it up a half step to get that sound. And then we've got the Add4, which is we take the triad and we just add the 4th to it to create a really dissonant, rich sound. Thanks so much for watching this video. I really hope it's a blessing to you and helps you learn to play worship piano better. If you want to subscribe to our channel to keep up with everything we're doing, you can click right below this video. If you want to see more videos like this one, you can click right over here. If you want to hear more about our worship piano course to learn to play like a pro, click right down here. Hope to meet you soon. God bless you.